The Practice Protocol with Paul Conant.
Okay, welcome to week 3, lesson 2. Last week was just a exercise, quick refresher course of what the goals are about. This week too. I mean, this week is really when you're going to start putting down your goals for your office or for you individually, and how you're going to start growing your office, whatever it is. It might be growing profit, maybe growing reviews, maybe growing and getting bigger, or maybe getting it ready to sell, or whatever the reason is. We want to start talking now about, let's get into the SMART goal section right there. And again, this is what the SMART goals is, kind of the review of the SMART goals. We've been going through this with you, so you could always pause on this, and you should already know this stuff by now because it's really been talked about enough. But really, we want to start talking about monthly to a year goal. These are kind of, would you call these short-term goals, Tom?
Yeah. I think now we're breaking down and we're prioritizing. You know, we have that 3-year ultimate goal, 3 to 5 year. Now we're breaking down and prioritizing what we have to do to get there.
Okay.
So I think that's the best way to describe it when you break it to a year, and then what you have to do in the next month. Because different months you may work on different things. So this is where we prioritize everything.
Perfect. So as we start looking at your main goals that you want to kind of focus on, your 3 to 5 year goals, and we'll get into getting more detail on those in the last lesson of this. Now what you want to do is take some of those goals and what are you going to do to break them down each month to get to that point. So again, just like your main goal, you have to be specific, and you got to kind of break it down. So, take time. You could pause the video or just listen to it and then go back to the chapter itself and then start writing down in your workbook exactly, because it's all in the binder itself. So as you have those pages, you're going to have a page like this where it's, everything is listed out for you. So you want to write in the open box that's available to you and start putting down exactly the specifics you need to break it down. Any other input? I mean, this isn't something we have to rehash. They could go back.
I think we're pretty clear. I think one of the things we haven't emphasized is the why. Why is this a goal for you?
Yeah. Right. I guess, let's talk a little bit about that. So, is it a goal that makes sense? Why would you want to do this goal, right? Is it just because for no reason at all, or is there a specific reason, part of that you want to write down?
Yeah, and what's it going to mean to your life if you attain these goals? These goals, remember, have to be, the have-tos. What are well, you have to have this. That's how you go. And why? Is it, to pay off debt, or is it to buy a new house, or what's the emotional attachment to it? So make sure you know what the why is for each of these goals.
So again, you're taking your main big goal, right? The biggest goal you could kind of come up with over your next 3 to 5 years, and now you're breaking them down into bite-sized pieces in order to achieve that goal. So again, ours was the example of last lesson was reviews in the dental office. Now that we got that big, what do you call it? Hairy, audacious goal.
Yeah, the big, hairy, audacious goal.
That's what Tom calls it. And that's it. That's out there. What are you going to do to get to that goal? Because if you just, if the road isn't paved with the map to get there, that's just going to fall apart on you. So what, where, when, why, and then you get into how are you going to measure that on a weekly? A lot of this stuff could be followed up in morning meetings, weekly meetings, internal with the staff. If you see that you're kind of off course, maybe in our case with the review lesson, maybe you're only 5 reviews in, and it's at the end of the week, and you needed 10 or 15. What happened? Where was the breakdown? Was somebody out sick? Was it, and make notes on this. So, next week we have to double up on it, or because it's easier to double up week to week, month to month than it is year to year. If you're that far behind going into a year, it could all fall apart on you.
Well, what's the dentist office one that you would measure daily?
A lot of times we would look at, production, new patients. We would even look at, we could look at even treatment plans. Sometimes you have treatment plans on the book. You're just out there doing them, and you don't kind of go back to revisit. Then all of a sudden you have $1 million worth of treatment plan on the books, and nobody really followed up with them. So that would be a good one where we'd want to find out why we weren't, going back and looking at the treatment plans, and then even putting in, some sort of outreach program to them. We had one which we had an SMS and an email campaign that became automatic once they came into it until the person said no. Every month it would follow, hey, we miss you. Don't forget if you have any questions on the treatment plan, things like that. And we found that it actually worked out pretty well to our advantage that, people would say, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Because it's the last thing on their mind. They're out there buying the new iPhone and they're out there buying the new Coach bag or Prada, bag or whatever it is, or new Audi. And then they forget about their dental. Like, yeah, I wanted to have that done. Why am I not having it done? And that became a kind of a reminder to them. But then we would be able to look at it and see how many we can measure that on how many people would come into the SMS, how many people responded no, they didn't want to be bothered anymore. How many people said, yeah, I'm still interested, just bad timing. And then, you try to work on them. That becomes part of the sales process.
Okay.
So, so those would be some good things you could kind of look to become. How do you measure this stuff? There's tons of way to measure stuff nowadays. So it's, a lot of us would use, EagleSoft or Dentrix or whatever the system you're using. But there's some systems out there called Dental IQ, SeekaSoft, that'll actually roll up reports for you in major detail to everything from demographics, how far away people live from you, to, expand it out to production by, code. There's so much you could do with it. So, and it really paves the way for you to, really break down your goals. Once you start seeing it in that light, it becomes a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. So again, monthly goals to get to your bigger goals. What are you doing to breaking them down? And we're just kind of talking them through all stuff we reviewed already with you. Just make sure as you write these goals down, you're writing them on your worksheets and you're breaking them down. If you get stuck in any way, shape, or form, that's what we're here for, is to ask those questions, either email them in or, go to have the meetings, the weekly meetings, to kind of jump on board there and say, look, we're thinking about this as a goal. Maybe it shouldn't be a goal. What do you think? Bring it to us. We'll let you know. If it makes sense for the office, we'll help you break it down. This could be for the doctor, the staff. It doesn't matter. If the office is breaking this down and they need help with it, that's what we're here for. What else? And that's it. So yeah, as long as you're breaking your goals down, you're filling out your worksheet, as discussed, that would be the worksheet, in the binder itself. Make sure you fill them all out. If you get stuck in any of them, that's why we're here for the calls. Tom, any last minute word on that?
No, I think that's pretty much covers it, So I think it's work on it, place the order, and let's start breaking it down and prioritizing.
All right. So that's it. That ends this week. So we're now into week 3. Lesson 3 will be coming up next. So make sure you fill out those monthly goals and you broke down your 3 to 5 year goal that you would like to see, and how are you going to get to that and break it down. Because next week we're going to talk about your intermediate goals. I think we call them. It's your daily and weekly, right? So we'll talk about that next.
The Practice Protocol with Paul Conant.